Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy SCGRANT, and I'm finally back into the Helliverse. And well, it's about time I give my personal thoughts on Hazbin Hotel Season 2, which came out months ago in October of 2025. Well, this video overall has been a long time coming, ever since the season itself premiered it, but I never thought that I would actually get around to doing it because, once again, a lot went down this month by the time I'm recording this video. Most notably, with the City Skylines turning 11 years old, and the fact of the matter is that Digital Circus was coming out, and so much was happening. I'm going to most likely beat myself to death trying to get as much content as I can on this channel. But without further ado, let's hop into pretty much what our misfits over at the Hazbin Hotel itself has to offer now that pretty much the extermination wars is over and Adam is dead because Niffty had to stab him in the back. And well, I was pretty skeptical about the season going forward because we just took down pretty much the very first human overall was known as Adam himself, because Niffty stabbed him in the back. But the fact is that we took him down and ended the extermination as a whole, but it actually came at a cost, which was the fact that Sir Pinches had to play the sacrifice play, only to have him revealing that he managed to make his way into heaven. So apparently his sacrifice that gave Charlie and his friends a fighting chance was his redemption, which resulted in him being in heaven, which shocked Sarah and pretty much caught Emily by surprise. It caught them both by surprise when they saw them. So when I heard that the second season was coming, it was going to be focusing on one of the V's, which is Vox, since he is technically once again one of the three V's. And the fact is that this actually goes far back as when the show began, because if you recall an earlier episode that Vox had pretty much had beef with Alistair. In fact, it goes far beyond that. The fact is that every time Vox sees Alistair, he just loses he just crashes out, man. Every time he sees Alistair. Once again, Alistair is that real him. He is that guy. So for somehow, Vox is basically taken as the main antagonist. Yes, this entire season's overall new villain is Vox. Vox is basically taking center stage. In fact, when I watched all 8 episodes, I said to myself, wait a minute, this feels like a role reversal. Remember, the first season, it was essentially Heaven's extermination squads going down on sinners. Now, you want the denizens of hell, mostly the Priory, to basically fight back? Seriously? And what's even more was that there was even a little nod to Sir Pinches when but again, we all introduced in the hotel and everything, and basically the new character, it's in the trailer, and this was actually something that was documented that originally in season 1 was going to have 12 episodes. This actually goes into one of my critiques of the show itself. It felt as though that the first season should have went with the original plan of having at least 12 to 13 episodes to basically introduce some of the major players that will eventually go into season 2. Most notably, Baxter. Yeah, Baxter, as Niffty would say, is supposed to be the new Sir Pinches, but everybody in the gang said no, he is not Sir Pinches. No one can replace this man. Sir Pinches sacrificed himself. He's in heaven now. In fact, his mission is trying to get in contact with the denizens of hell, because since once again he somehow made it into heaven. Oh, and another highlight was the fact is that someone who's also taking extermination squads would be Adam's son Abel. Yeah, the whole Cain and Abel thing from the Bible. You already know about that now. When I saw Abel was first revealed before the season came out, I'm like, yep, he's gonna be pretty much a peace negotiator. And once again, I really like Abel in this season. So he's pretty much the voice, he's pretty much reason to why, because once again, the exterminations of sinners by the heavens themselves was the final nail in the coffin. But by the time we actually killed Adam, it actually stopped it. So once again, for Sarah and Emily to jump in the picture, they wanted to try to make amends and try to apologize for the years and so long of exterminating sinners that they're pretty much just humans who basically, for example, Vox died when a TV fell on his head in his mortal life, and that's why he got a TV for a head. And when I heard he was taking center stage, I'm like, oh man, I can already tell where this is going. It's going to be the constant beef between him and Alistair, because once again, they had beef. They even gave us the backstory of how the beef began, because Alistair rejected him. He did not want to deal with Vox. He didn't want to do it. He said, once again, once you're in the depths of hell, you can't trust no one. Hell, even Alistair's health motives are still unclear until it was personnel. Because I remember that pretty much Alistair had pretty much as Husky's leash, So pretty much, but when I was shocking her that someone had Alistair's leash, and it turned out to be Rosie. Yeah, the cattle lady from the first season who had her cattle help out to take out the extermination angels. Yeah. I didn't expect her to have Alistair's leash. Like, seriously? She has a plan? But there are actually fan theories that Rosie might be Lilith, basically Charlie's mother, in disguise. But once again, that is a tall order, and I'm gonna need hard evidence that you're gonna need hard evidence to prove that theory. But yeah, it's actually got more obvious. But another thing that was another highlight was the songs. The songs definitely the highlight of the show. But what caught me off guard was the fact that Vox wants to wage war on the heavens, and by doing so, you got the woman who found the way to kill angels, which was Carmilla. I'm like, you want her to build a super weapon, a hellish-looking super weapon that basically can penetrate heaven's gates. Are you serious? They have literally heaven's barriers. Are you serious? In fact, Carmilla's own daughters, when they heard this, they were kind of different. One of them was like, okay, we're gonna go with the plan, but the other one was kind of like, hold up, wait a minute, we gotta think about this for a second, because yes, there is actually tensions going because of this plan of using this weapon to basically penetrate heaven itself. This could, in fact, this also led to the V's, the 3 V's actually coming to terms like, wait, we're gonna wage war on the heavens, meaning Valentino's porn gig and pretty much Velvet's social media status is gonna get pretty much trampled on. It's gonna get pretty much boomed if they don't do something about it. They had no choice. So once again, the biggest highlight was the fact is that Alistair, and I'm not making this up, got himself captured by Vox for Vox to think he got the W, but he didn't. He played right into Alistair's hands. Remember, this is Alistair we're talking about here. You don't fuck with Alistair, man. He may have gotten his chest slashed by freaking Adam in the first season, but once again, I always knew this man was one step ahead of Vox in every way, because there's no way he can easily get himself captured without any some sort of plan. And boy, did the plan come to fruition. And that was, if you even lay your hands on Charlie, the princess of hell herself, guess what? The deal's off. Basically, not only that, but he somehow made a deal when he, as you usually does, you soldier level on. He made a deal with Rosie when he was alive, and once that deal with Vox was broken, it not just one deal, it was 2. He finally became a free man and went wildin'. Yes, Alistair went full on wildin' on in this ultimate combat battle, and as per usual, Vox crashes out because once again Alistair was one step ahead of him. It was obvious. Now you may have noticed I wasn't talking about the other characters at this point because the main focus of the season was Vox versus the Alistair beef, because once again that was one of the definite highlights. But let's talk about the hotel itself. See, when they managed to fend off the exterminators in the first season, they thought that the Hazbin Hotel itself was meant to be a way to resist the executioners. No, it wasn't. The purpose of the hotel was to redeem the sinners who have been committed, that had actually the consequences back on Earth when they were alive. That was the whole purpose. Sir Pinch's sacrifice was the first example of it. He sacrificed himself so that the friends could get a fighting chance. Actually, this also came at the cost of Cherry Bomb, because once again, remember back in the first season, he kissed her, pardon me, yeah, Sir Pinchas actually kissed her just before the fight and basically made a sacrifice, and she was bummed about it. Now we got pretty much episodes of how that all played out. It even ended with them not Sir Pinchas not only to get broadcast into the hell, but the first thing that Cherry said to him was, "Dude, you left me down here, bro. Like, what the heck, man?" And then Sir Pinchas like, how you doing, Jerry?" I like their interactions, man. But another shocking factor that caught me off guard. I already knew that Husk was used to be an overlord before he signed his soul off to Alistair, but I didn't know that Niffty was used to be an overlord. What? What is this? I thought that seeing Luda having a wolf-like form, like a demon wolf-like form, was already odd enough, and without any this left with more questions than answers. When did Niffty become an overlord? I thought that she was basically one of Alice's friends to come in, usually clear out the hotel and all, because she's usually based on the typical housewives of the 1950s. But what? When was she an overlord? I didn't know this. They were all putting all their powers together to try to stop the weapon, but all of a sudden Niffty is basically what? She would have stabbed at him in the back in the first season, but now she's got powers? What? She already, in fact, what's more, she throwing hands with Velvet. She threw hands, bro. She was about to whoop her ass. But no, it gets even weirder. Because literally, it's just crazy. But it comes down to one thing, and that was Angel Dust. I did not mention it before, but yeah, the whole time I thought that Angel was part of the group, but turns out he was actually the real sleeper agent of Fox by having him brainwashed. And the fact that, Cherry Bomb and pretty much Hus had to go and apprehend Valentino to save Angel Dust, only for everything to all come down. Everything felt like back to normal as usual for the Hazbin Hotel, but Angel Dust, and to my shock, had to eventually have to leave the hotel because of his actions. He was under Fox's control, and it kind of bummed me out. But yeah, it left Husk and Cherry bummed out, and leaving Lucky too, bro. But once again, man, so much. There were more questions and answers about the season and the show as a whole that I may have to do a future video. But anyway, that's all to say about Hazbin Hotel Season 2. It's pretty much on par with Season 1. I'm hoping to see what we can get out of Season 3, especially with even more cliffhangers of Charlie's mother Lilith herself. Anyway, that's all I have for Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. Anyway, see you all in the next one. Take care now.